morning.
Morning.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
Well, I'll let you know this much. I'm doing much better this morning after knowing the Flyers won last night.
Hey, yeah.
And so I could, I actually was working last night, and it was just, I can't train while I got the Flyers on my mind. It was just not a good night. So I apologize for the office I was at last night. But you guys get the full and the best of me just for about 15 minutes. I just want to take a couple of minutes. And really, here's the two pieces I want to talk to you guys about. And it's going to go with Khalil's working with today. Is actually this presentation right here. Some of you guys might have seen this before, right? I jokingly say that to you guys, right? And I really just want to take about 3-4 minutes and work with you guys on 2 pages of this. 2 pages are on the same exact page as the auto and home and the legal protection page. And here's what it is, and I know we talked about it a little bit before, but these are some different areas and some different pieces to help diversify your business. Now, I'm going to start with auto and home. I'm just going to start with auto and home for just a couple minutes, but before I get into how I would actually present this, how I would talk about it, let me give you guys as representatives some background, some history of what's going on. We've been in the program now for 5 years. Okay, so 5 years we've been doing auto and homeowners insurance business. In those 5 years, we've had over 1 million leads from clients calling in, seeing if they could get better auto and home insurance rates. Here's the crazy number that we get excited about. In those 5 years, we actually conservatively estimate that we freed up $86 million and put back on families' kitchen tables in 5 years. That's a couple of dollars, right or wrong? Yep. Now, I always like to position this because you got to understand it. We don't get excited about that $86 million, though. You got to understand, because there's so many companies that are out there talking about how they save clients money in their auto insurance, right or wrong? Right. I mean, everybody sees you got the lizard, to get all the, my favorite and the epitome of the companies that they're doing this and the stupidity of what they do is actually a State Farm commercial. How many of you guys have seen the State Farm commercial with the guy with the falcon? Yep. Right? For you guys who haven't seen the commercial, I gotta kind of tell you how it goes, because it really drives me nuts, is that these companies don't get it for these families. So the commercial opens up with a guy meeting his wife on the street corner, and he's got a big falcon on his arm. And the wife looks at him and goes, "Why do you have a falcon?" Right? And you guys have seen this, and the husband goes, "My State Farm guy got it for me." So she turns around quickly, calls the State Farm guy, and goes, "Why'd you buy my husband a falcon?" Right? And the State Farm guy answers back. He goes, "Oh, no, I didn't buy it for him. He used the money I saved him from his auto and homeowners insurance to go ahead and go out and buy a falcon." And now, during the commercial, you see people walking around with some stupid stuff, the knight armor and all these different things. And the reality of it is this. You see, State Farm, all they care about is turning around and getting you to buy their product, and they could care less about you and your family's financial future. Realistically, because they say, "Hey, free up the money, do something stupid with it. Go and be, go be irresponsible with your money." You see, we get excited not about turning around and freeing up $86 million for families to go, "Hey, go buy a falcon. Go do something crazy." Because let's be honest, families don't need an opportunity to do stupid things with their money, right or wrong?
Right.
How many people do you guys know that if they find $50, it's a reason for them to go spend $100? Right? When they find a $25 a month saving, they go out and buy something for $50 a month, and their logic is, "Well, it only cost me $25 a month." Does that make sense? Yeah. And see, does it make sense, right? And see, the reality of it is that we get excited about helping families with their money. It's not about $86 million that we saved, it's about teaching families what to do with the $86 million that we saved. You see, it's the numbers of people that we've helped put life insurance policies on their tables because of this. The number of investments, retirement accounts, college funds that we are able to open up because of this is incredible. Now, I always use this, but I think it always hits home, is the thought process of this. By law, in the state of Pennsylvania or Jersey, by law, you have to have auto insurance, true or false?
True.
By law, you have to have homeowners insurance if you have a mortgage, right or wrong?
True.
But there's nothing that says you have to have life insurance, is there? So the states mandate you to take care of your car and take care of your house, but your family is optional, true or false?
True.
Now, I don't know about you guys, what's more important to you, your car, your house, or your family? Your family. But it's crazy to me that the state makes you take care of things that aren't as important, and that most families never take care of their family. And see, what we do is we educate families about showing them how to free up this money. Now, here's the easiest part. I'm going to talk about it just for a couple of seconds. We're going to have a 30-second conversation because that's all this page really is. It really is. Now, throughout your presentation, I know you're going to kind of touch on some different pieces, but one of the things that I've realized is this. How many of you guys know the number one objection somebody doesn't pick up their life protection is because of what? Can't afford it. So this is one easy way to overcome that objection. Why? Because if you find them 500 hours a month or 500 hours every 6 months or a year, does that allow you to now sit and talk to them a little bit easier?
Yep.
So it's a simple page. So on the top side it says auto and home ways to save money. And say, look, let me explain to you how our auto and homeowners insurance program works. What we do is we have the largest comparative quoting system in the United States. What that really means to you is that we do a better job shopping. Everybody get that? That's all we do is we do a better job shopping. And the illustration that I often use is this. It said if you were going out and buying a TV today, you wouldn't just buy it in the first store you walked into, would you? You'd probably get the ads out. You'd probably go in a couple of different stores. You'd probably go around, make sure you're going to get the best deal on a TV, right or wrong?
Right.
You see, yet how often do we shop for our auto insurance? Once? And we really don't shop, do we?
No.
See, what we're going to do today is we're going to get you on the phone and we're going to shop over 20 different auto insurance companies. See if you get a good rate going. Worst case scenario, we find out the company you're with is giving you a great deal. Is that fair enough? But if we could save you some money, is that something you'd be open to? You see, in this illustration, it just does a before and after. It says, just like in this illustration, we've helped the family here save $65 a month on their auto and homeowners insurance. Now, here's the one objection that we hear more so than any other objection. Well, I've been with so-and-so, the guy down at the street corner for years. Right? Any of you guys hear this? Yeah, I got Bob. Me and Bob go way back. So here's the answer, the way to do it. Let me ask you this. How much is Bob's relationship worth to you? I mean, is it worth 500 hours a year? Is it worth 600 hours? Let's even put it on top of that. Whose kids do you like more, your kids or his kids? Now, I want to ask the client that. Because if you had an opportunity to put money in your kid's college fund compared to his kid's college fund, whose kids would you pick? Well, good. Let's just show you in this illustration right here. It shows that if we saved the family $65 on their auto and home insurance, investing it at 10% for 20 years, that's $49,000 into a kid's college fund. But what you're saying is that if I'd rather keep it over with Bob here, you're saying I'd rather give $49,000 to his kid's college fund rather than put it into your kid's college fund. Now, I'm not asking you to switch your auto insurance, but I am asking you at least to make a phone call to see if we can help you save, to see if we can find some savings. Is that fair enough? And it's an easy page. How many of you guys see that? It's just a pretty simple, easy conversation to be able to have. By the way, just kind of give you some, and I pulled some of the numbers, and now I'm going to go, my age is going to show. I can only remember a couple of them. I know in John's base, I just pulled Frank's and a couple of the other ones, but in John's base, I know in the first quarter we recruited 123 recruits in the base shop. But we only had 68 auto and home leads. So that means there was at least 60 people, give or take, that came into our business and didn't even take a look for themselves. I think that's one of those numbers we got to challenge and change a little bit. Does that make sense? We're not asking them to switch. All we're asking them to say, hey, look, make the call. So if somebody hasn't made a call, I got plenty of brochures that has the information on the back for you to be able to talk and find out what it is. So I'm going to switch real quick to the second piece, which is legal protection, which is our prepaid legal services that we work on. Now, here's probably the biggest and easiest conversation you could ever have about this product. Now, it really has a couple of different features, but one is the easiest selling point you could ever talk about, which is a will. Now, here's the reality. 57% of adult Americans don't have a will. Now, if you have kids, or you know somebody that has kids and doesn't have a will, what you're saying is I could care less who raises my kids, God forbid something happens to me. Legally, that's what you're saying. Does everybody get that?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't actually say, here's who I want to raise my kids, guess who has to decide it for you?
State.
The state. Well, you guys don't have to worry, because Pennsylvania gets everything right, right? I mean, these guys got it down. They don't have to worry about it going to the wrong person. Now, I want to kind of touch on one piece of this. Now, with that, and explaining just how a will works and explaining that to a client is all you really have to do. Sit down and say, look, here's the way the laws work. Is that if you don't actually have a will and telling the state exactly what you want to have happen to the money and your kids, they have to figure it out for you. And now with that, a lot of different things can happen and your kids might end up with the wrong person. Now let me ask you this, and I would ask the client, do you have any crazy people in your family? How many of us all have crazy people in our families?
Yeah.
Now, here's the reality. Now, every family has a crazy person. Now, if you're looking around and going, no, my family doesn't.
You're crazy.
You're the crazy one. Because every one of them's got a crazy person. And so if you're like, no, I don't see any of them, they're all looking back at you, yeah, that's the way it works. But here's what usually happens. Let's just say you're helping a family with their life protection. Typically, you ask them beneficiary information. Say, God forbid, something happens to the husband, they want the spouse to get the money, right or wrong. Spouse, vice versa to the husband. But God forbid, something happens to both the husband and wife, they're going to want the money to go to the who? Child. To the kids. Now, here's the problem. State of Pennsylvania, state of New Jersey isn't going to give $500,000, $250,000, $750,000 to a 13-year-old. Does that make sense? Legally, they're not going to. So, number one, I would challenge you, if you're filling out a life app and you're putting out contingent beneficiaries, you got to think about it. A state's not going to give kids that kind of money. They're going to give it to a guardian. So now what you've done is you put a price tag on these kids. You said, now these kids come with $500,000. Now, you think crazy Uncle so-and-so is going to have a renewed interest in helping to raise your kids at this point? And now you're going to, so understand a will is a huge opportunity to be able to have a conversation. Now, this is probably the biggest piece that we can share and talk to somebody about. Now, if you're sitting with somebody that has kids that are below the age of 18, now I'm going to tell you this. I would never steal away from monies to help pay for life insurance for a will, because you can't fix debt. Does that make sense? You can't go back and fix that. But what I would say is that this is a highly important piece, is that when you're delivering a policy, you're going back and sitting down with that family. They need to understand the value of a will. Now, by the way, Pennsylvania has some even special laws about the will. And the way it works is this, is that, let's just say for some of the assets are just in one person's name and not in both the husband and wife's name. For instance, anybody know anybody that has the house just in their name, not in their spouse's name? Well, here's what could happen. God forbid that spouse passes away. The state steps up and says, hey, because there's no will, 50% of the equity goes to the spouse, but then the other 50% of the equity, guess who that goes to? The kids. Now, try to raise your kids when they have 50% of the equity in your house. And here's the state's going to step up and say, hey, we need to make sure they get their money, so you're going to have to prove that you gave them 50% of the equity of your house. They literally will assign a guardian, make sure you refinance your house, give them the cash out of your house so they can prove that the kids got 50% of the equity of that house. Does that? Now, if you don't believe me, go pull up Pennsylvania's will laws, intestate laws, that will show you step by step where these things go.
I personally did that. My wife's first husband had it in his name. And when I got married to get the house, I had to pay the kids 50% of the value of the house in order to have my name put on the deed.
It happens more than you think. And here's the thing, is that we do such a great job crusading for families, talking about all the things that we need. We just need to make sure of all the areas that we can help families, we're stepping up and doing it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So these are just two simple ways, and I'm only here for as a couple of minute infomercial just to say, hey, kind of pay attention on this. Now I'm going to close out with this. I'm going to share with you guys some different information. And then I know it's there's kind of been a hot topic out in Primerica land right now about a new debt program that's coming out. All right, how many of you guys have heard some smatterings about it? Well, apparently it's not a rumor in this office. Apparently it's here and now, right? And so just give you guys an understanding, it's going to be inside of the client solutions, the area that we cover and what I'm able to help you guys with, and give you guys a feel of it's actually coming out, and I anticipate, and don't hold me to it, but I anticipate it probably being here towards the end of the summer for you guys. Sometimes probably closer to September 1st is something that I would gauge by, is give or take. Now that right now, give you guys a feel what's going on with this new debt program. It's under beta. What does that mean? We're testing it out, making sure we get all the kinks out of the system. We're doing all the programming behind the scenes to make sure that the system works well. But I'll give you kind of just a quick little overview of what it's going to look like. It's 4 different pieces. 4 different pieces. Debt settlement, credit counseling, bankruptcy, and tax settlement. And these are the 4 opportunities that you'll be able to share and help a family with. Now, is it right for everybody? No. But is it a huge market that we're going to be able to get into as well to help more and more families? Yep. Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to finish and close out with this. The opportunity right now for you guys and where you're at in this business, I can only tell you one thing. Our business has always been about one thing: finding and developing people. It's not about the products. I know we're going to go into a great training about how to products, but it doesn't matter if you're the only person that's doing it for your business, you're not going to make a large income. You can make a successful income, but you're not going to make a large income. The guys who financially are set in this business are the ones who focus on distribution. They went and found and developed people to be able to help more families out there. If you can walk, the problem is that we get so entangled with, I want to be an expert at each one of these products. I want to be an expert at each one of these. I would tell you, you don't need to be an expert at any one of our products. The only thing you need to be an expert on is finding and developing people. That's it. If you can become an expert at finding and developing people, you put them in class and you teach them how to say, hey, look, you want to be an expert? Come in and hang out today. We're going to teach you how to do the presentation. I'm not the expert, somebody else is. But if you got to focus on finding and developing people, that's the whole opportunity in our business. So guys, I appreciate the time. If you guys have any questions, I know most of you guys know how to get a hold of me. If you don't, find somebody who does know how to get a hold of me. I'm more than happy to help you guys. So thank you guys so much.